But thank you, Allison, for being here to talk about a relevant project. We really appreciate that. Also, Natalie emailed this morning and said that there is a project related to infrastructure that the health sector group would like to talk about. So we'll do that. And then Patrick, I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything, but one of the things Bailey and I are trying to figure out if we can do something with is not mapping out, but putting together, we had wanted to understand what progress is being made in the region around bicycle and pedestrian or active transportation infrastructure implementation, and then understanding the correlation with actual implementation with policies that are in place or plans that are in place. So things like Complete Streets policies, Vision Zero, if a community has a safety action plan, a walkability, a bike plan, stuff like that. So we had come up with that idea and then actually found out shortly after that Patrick Truba and Bobby over at Mark are working on a really similar effort. And so we're trying to coordinate schedules to get the four of us to meet and see what might be there. So probably the next time this group gets together, Bailey and I will have a little bit more of an update that we can share with everybody. So yeah, Natalie, if there's anything you want to say, go for it, or we can let Allison just go ahead and kick off.
I think since we haven't met in a while, we might have everyone introduce themselves and just have Allison go last, and then she can give us her updates. I'll start. My name is Natalie Updike. For you, those that don't know us, I'm part of the Kansas City Healthy Lifestyles Collaborative at Children's Mercy, and one of our initiatives is the KCPA plan, so I support this sector. We have 10 other sectors. I'll have Katie introduce herself next. She's also on our team.
Hi, I'm Katie. I work with Natalie, and yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll call on Abby.
Hello, I am Abby Hunt. I'm a health educator at the Platte County Health Department. My team is here, so I will pass it to Trisha.
Hi, I'm Trisha Rothweiler. I'm the health education supervisor at Platte County Health Department. And I think Rebecca's on here, so.
Hello, I am another health educator at Platte County Health Department, and I can pass it to Patrick.
I'm Patrick Truba. I'm active transportation planner at Mid-America Regional Council, and I'll pass it to Kevin.
Kevin Good. I do cybersecurity here at Children's Mercy. Still trying to figure out why I'm here, but Natalie invited me, so I'm here.
Okay, I don't think there's anyone else. I'm Allison Troutwine. I am the executive director of the Health Sciences Community Improvement District. I'm going to share my slides. And I will go through these pretty quickly, but I'm happy to answer questions at any point. Stop me. I'm excited to share some infrastructure updates from the Health Sciences Community Improvement District, a little bit about our district. We were approved by City Council in 2022. You all might be familiar with other community improvement districts throughout the city. We have wonderful CIDs that run what are referred to as clean and safe programs. So if you're familiar with Main Street corridor or even downtown, the Yellow Jacket, sometimes they'll wear different colored shirts to help pick up litter, help people figure out where they're trying to go, etc. That is not our program, but we have a really great alliance of area CIDs. I'm very grateful for them. Our community improvement district, the purpose is to fund infrastructure improvements within the boundaries. I hope you can see my slides. And healthy housing in a benefit district. We don't have a lot of housing in this area proper. And so our benefit district is east of Truce from 22nd to 27th Street all the way to Brooklyn. I'm not here to talk about that today, but I would like to talk about some infrastructure projects that we have planned and would love your thoughts on any of those that I list. I'm going to talk about 4 different projects today. So a little bit more about the CID before I get into that. 70% of our funds can be spent on infrastructure, 30% will go to healthy housing. We have a 7-member board made up of 2 representatives each from UMKC, Children's Mercy, and University Health, and we have 1 member from the city. We try and take our recommendations from an advisory committee, but the important part here is that City Council has ultimate authority on how we spend our funds. How do we derive our funds? They come from 2 generator projects, 2 newer developments. One is Children's Mercy Research Institute, and one is University Health 2, a medical office building located at 22nd in Charlotte. We take half of the earnings tax from employees in those 2 buildings and redirect it to our CID. So before we started on deciding what project to choose, we worked with HDR and Jackie Foy. I know some of you at Children's Mercy may be familiar with her. She helped us develop a master plan. We call it, for various reasons, I won't bore you with, a vision plan, but it's online. Anyone can go see it. It talks about future development. It talks about how people access our district and future planning. And so a lot of these projects are mentioned in that plan. But I'll start off with one that many are familiar with, and it's one that I feel like is an easy start because it's so bad. This is 25th and Gillum. It's a closed slip lane. It was closed years ago. We are grateful for that. We do not want to reopen the closed slip lane. Just to orient us, this is UMKC School of Dentistry in the background here. Children's Mercy is just a little bit farther to the north, the main entrance to Children's Mercy. It pretty much looks like this today. Maybe it's gotten a little worse. It's actually Parks property, and so we are working with Parks to redesign the space. We're also working with local firm Talaferro and Brown. So this is what's in our vision document, what the vision document says this area could look like. They call it the Welcome Plaza. And this is what Talaferro and Brown, we've worked with them to redesign to this rendering. I'll just quickly say that we're planning on having wide sidewalks, gateway signage, green space, public art. I'll talk a little bit about that and show you some different renderings. We know that a lot of families cross in this area going from Ronald McDonald House Charities KC over to Children's Mercy. And not only that, this area is along the mobility lane, and it's also a connection between east-west, between Crown Center and the Health Sciences District. Just some more views from Talaferro and Brown. In this rendering, we have a bike station here. I don't know if we are going to be able to sponsor a bike share station, but we might have a bike rack. Some night views. I'll talk quickly about the public art. Artist Rita Blitt has agreed to donate one of her sculptures called Kindness. She has other art within the district, and so we feel like this will provide some continuity at our 4 corners, or at least 2 of our corners. This is the sculpture and Miss Blitt. And she is prolific. She's all over Kansas City. This is her other piece right in front of Children's Mercy Research Institute. And this is also on Parks property. And so we tried to pick up some of the materials and elements of this corner at 22nd and Gillum to bring those to 25th and Gillum. The rock wall, the public art. Here, this is neighboring Beacon Hill. This is over at 25th and Troost. So we, again, picked up some of the elements of this gateway. These are just some examples of other cities and what they've done with their closed slip lanes. I'll go through these pretty quickly. Anyway, I want to just wrap up that first project by saying that would be a CID funded project. And now I would like to share about a little bit north at Gillum and Locust Street. This is a PIAC funded project, and it's still in development. I wish Bailey was on the call so I could thank her. She's been very supportive of it. So some of you may know along the mobility lane, which I'll say is the only place that there's no sidewalk on this stretch of Gillum. So all users on bike or foot need to use the mobility lane. It is a very long crossing, and as I've only walked through it, but you feel pretty vulnerable out there. This is at the main entrance to Children's Mercy, and so we worked with Urban Lab KC to come up with this rendering, and PIAC approved it, and so we're excited. Along this stretch of Gillum, many of you may know there are these plastic delineators, which we're grateful for that mobility lane, but what we're asking for in the redesign is a poured concrete curb similar to what was installed along Emmanuel Cleaver, and we think looks really nice. So we've asked that to work with the city to get a poured concrete curb from 25th to 22nd Street here. And all credit to Urban Lab KC for this design. They were really kind to work with us on this, but in this new redesign, it will shorten the crossing distance for anyone in the mobility lane. This will be better for cars to see individuals in the mobility lane, and better for mobility lane users. And here's what the current state is, just so you can kind of get a sense for this long crossing. Moving on to another PIAC funded project, Holmes is currently one way in the Health Sciences District. I'll again quickly orient us. There are two busy emergency departments on this stretch of Holmes. The Children's Mercy loading dock is here, and we have students and faculty staff crossing between the UMKC Health Sciences District buildings and the UMKC campus. So this is kind of an old picture. There are some poured concrete curbs here, and we're thankful for Public Works. Uday's not on this call, but he's been wonderful to work with. And someone earlier mentioned Bobby Evans. Years ago, when Bobby was still with Public Works, he was nice enough to come out and walk the stretch with me, and he said, I think we can get this two-way. And so it was a PIAC approved project. We are so close to realizing it. There's just some plates on the street that are preventing the two-way conversion. But as soon as those plates are pulled, I'm told that Public Works will come and have crews do the mill and overlay work to get this to two-way. The purpose of this will be to slow down traffic. I understand from Bobby, who was kind enough to talk me through this, that two-way conversion will cause friction and it will cause cars to slow down a little bit here. So we're excited about this upcoming conversion, and we have plans to ask for additional PIAC dollars to get Holmes converted to two-way from 22nd Street to Truman Road, which would match Charlotte Street, and it would allow everyone coming from the north to access Children's Mercy ED more quickly. And University Health, anyone coming from the north from Truman Road. So we're excited about that. And then the CID, this is CID funds, not PIAC. We are also working on a wayfinding and signage plan with an outside consulting group. But part of that plan is wayfinding for pedestrian circulation, including walk times. Some people may not know that, oh, it only takes 2 minutes to get from this place to this place. So I wanted to share that with you all, that we are working on a wayfinding and signage plan, which includes pedestrian points. And that is all I have. If you have questions, I'm happy to try and answer. If you have suggestions for us, I'd love to hear.
That was great. Thank you, Allison. On the wayfinding stuff, are you guys modeling that after the Mark signage plan or the recommended wayfinding stuff that Mark's doing? Or are you creating your own district branded wayfinding?
It will be our own district wayfinding. I did provide that Mark plan to the consultants. I think, was that finished in 2022? I'd have to look back, but I provided that to them. I'm also aware that the city is working on their own wayfinding and signage plan for the entire city. So we will be incorporating that. I've been in touch with the city, and they're their consultant about
That's great.
our work.
Yeah, I know that Casey Streetcar is working with people at Tool also to do some wayfinding. I think that'll be on the whole line, but the extension prompted it. So yeah, that'll be great. Does anybody have questions, thoughts before we let the health sector jump on and talk about their project?
I just had a quick question. Do we think the Holmes Street two-way conversion is going to affect the bus operation at all?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have one stop on Holmes, which is close to the University Health Emergency Department entrance. And when I've been in touch with ATA, this has been in the works for a while, so it's been a little bit since I checked in with ATA, but it's a good suggestion to do that again, especially when I know that it's coming up. I will point out that the bus stop on Holmes is the closest to the Children's Mercy main entrance. So I don't know how often this happens, but if a family comes by bus, they have to traverse quite a ways to get to the Children's Mercy main entrance. I've spoken with ATA about this and tried to think of different options, but nothing yet. So I didn't really answer your question. Do they know? Yes, it's been a while. I should probably check in with them again.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was thinking like that might be the one. Just keeping the bus moving might be the one argument against slowing down the traffic, but otherwise I'm very much for it. But
okay, good. I was going to say, do you have concerns about the bus stop and two-way conversion?
Well, I mean, I just know from writing the Truce Max that a lot of people get off there. I've never used the hospital there, so I've never had to get off there. But if you were just saying that the stop isn't even located at a convenient point, that might be, yeah, that concern might be moot then. I don't know. Yeah, it's just that the Max is supposed to be kind of one of our faster transit options, and yeah, just trying to balance all those needs.
Yes. Any other questions or suggestions?
Allison, can you remind me of why the stop at Children's Mercy just has been a problem, or they're not really considering it?
Yeah, I spoke with AJ at ATA, and so there was a stop at Children's Mercy years ago, and I understand then they pulled it back. He said, are we doing this just to make ourselves feel better, or is it a real need? And I didn't know the answer to that. And I don't know, when this has come up before, I've never really gotten a lot of traction. Is it a real need? I did confirm with him on the redesign of that intersection at Gillum and Locust. If ATA were to bring a bus back, AJ was going to try to use a smaller bus potentially to add a route, but everything going on at ATA right now, I don't think that was something that they could add, basically, to answer your question. But I did confirm with him that he felt comfortable with that redesign. I can show you again that bus traffic would be able to still access if we ever were to be able to add another route. Do you know if it's a need, Natalie, or something that you're hearing a lot, that families use the bus to get to their appointments?
We have kind of like a transportation subcommittee group with our REACH project, and I feel like transportation is just listed as like a reason for missing appointments a lot.
Yes.
And the social workers anecdotally say it. So
yes.
But I don't know about like concrete data, or maybe
Yeah.
if I ask the social work team.
Yeah. If we have data and could try and make a compelling case, I just don't know what the capacity is at ATA to add another stop right now. But. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you all so much for allowing me to share what's happening in the Health Sciences District, and would be happy to come back and give updates as we make some progress on these.
Thanks, Allison. Or the Clay County Health Department people on the meeting if I share my screen of the application, would one of you feel comfortable kind of talking us through your project you're presenting to us?
Did you mean Platte County or Clay County?
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say the wrong county? Oh,
That's all good.
yeah, Platte County is on the application, right?
Yes, yeah. Well,
Okay.
we applied for something. Now, if somebody else has also applied for something, I don't want to. Yep, that's us. Okay. I didn't want to jump in and
I'm sorry. I misspoke.
Yes, we actually we could be prepared to present right now. I had a PowerPoint ready, but we can go off of this.
Oh, if you want to do that, I can make you a presenter.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we could do either way, but we did have some pretty pictures.
Yeah,
so-
yeah, let's go with yours then.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay. And while I'm getting this going, actually one of the model cities that she just talked about was in Alexandria, Virginia. I used to live there and personally use that walkway. So I am a big fan of that plan, but obviously every community has to do it differently. Let's see here. Make sure I get the correct one. PowerPoint Live. I don't. Nope,
We see
wrong
it.
one.
Oh.
That one is my draft, and then we had our marketing person make it way better. So let's go with the way better one. Let's see here. Cheers.
I might give a background on these implementation projects to remind people, KCPA plan, we have some money available to each of the sectors. We funded a project to do some bimodal pedestrian counts last fall. As a sector, you can bring us projects to the infrastructure sector, and then we can decide if it's something we want to support and move through to our core work group, and then would be presented there by our co-leads, and then they would vote on it to see if it would be awarded funding.
Okay, so we have it up, and this is our proposal. Just for reference, again, we're a Platte County Health Department, and this kind of started based off of us finding out that there's a whole section of a greenway being paved, I don't know, 50 feet from our health department that we were unaware of. And we're like, if we don't know that this transportation route, recreation route is available, how are the people in the area going to know? So that is kind of what started us deciding, like, we need to get a lot more information out there about the parks that are available, the greenways that are available, et cetera. So that's why we came up with the Move Platte County Health Initiative. Right. So this is the overview, and the good thing is for the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan, this plan fits into a lot of different strategies. So we have infrastructure. Transportation and public health agencies should work to implement initiatives to encourage, reward, and require more walking, biking, and transit use for route transportation. Parks and Rec. Parks departments, recreation cities, and community partners should develop a new park programs that support physical activity opportunities for all residents. So a priority with that is reimagine public parks as a third choice amenity, where they're recognized as welcoming alternative places for families and communities to gather other than a work or home. All right, so continuing over to our favorite over here at Platte County Health Department, we have the public health strategies. Okay, let's see. Disseminate tools and resources to promote physical activity. And then additionally, invest equitably in physical activity, understanding its impact on disease prevention and health promotion. And as health educators, health promotion is 100% what we love to do. So actually, this project fits into a lot of different categories. So we just kind of narrowed it down to these, but these are the strongest. Okay, so when it comes to the greenways and the parks in the area, kind of in the Northland area specifically, I looked for different routes to show where all these different greenways were linked up and things like that. And I found a beautiful ArcGIS map from Mark. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, these must be all the greenways. No, it's like every possible road improvement strategy that they've had, which again is great. You can find all that information, but I saw nothing when I zoomed in on where we are, and you see that big area to the right is where the health department is. I need something that's like specific, like where can people move around? Like, you know, we want to make it easy for people to know their different routes, their different greenways, particularly with, you know, with the World Cup coming and there's going to be a ton of traffic. Like, how else can you get around the area? Again, limited information here. We have the Connect KC 2050 project, gives you everything you could want, but it's mostly just these like kind of the details of the project. It's not pretty, it's not marketable to the public, and it's kind of tough to understand. This one is the Tiffany Springs area. This one project to the right here talks about basically the green that's being paid right outside of our health department. And again, we want to kind of bring some dazzle to show people like, hey, look, this is available to you. You know, this is where your tax dollars have gone. This is the built infrastructure that we've created for you so that you can enjoy yourselves, get out in nature more, feel better, and be able to bike. All right, again, I tried to take some pictures as they were paving it, and they said, ma'am, you need to stay out of the construction zone. So this is as close as I could get across the street with this greenway that's being implemented without getting in trouble. But again, there's no signage. There's no like, hey, this route connects to that route. So we just want to kind of promote that. So how do we want to do that, right? So we want to start by going to different events and handing things out with the, you know, the hashtag of Move Platte County. So we want to do things like hand out the little running pouches that you can put your cell phone in and your keys in when you're going to run or walk. Sunscreen, because again, prevention of with sun protection is important. And then these Owala water bottles. We actually have just won a statewide award for using these water bottles to kind of engage youth in a lot of our health programming. And it has been overwhelmingly successful because from market research, we found out that these are the cool water bottles that every teen wants. So we can give out small prizes and say like, hey, here's some maps to the area and here's some different resources, you know, to try to get people to think, you know, when I meet up with a friend, I can meet up at Starbucks, but no, I could meet up on a walking trail. I could meet up at a park. So we want to try to promote that being part of, you know, recreational use, utility use. Like maybe I could take my bicycle, you know, and ride on one of the greenways that goes from Platte City to Parkville. How can I make the parks and the greenways part of my everyday life? Looking at billboard options, you know, we could have the campaign of Move Platte County and utilizing parks. We'd like to get people thinking, okay, it's summertime and into fall. You know, I want to go and not have my child's birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese. Like we could have it at the local park. You know, to get that as part of people understand like, hey, these are all the available parks. Here's some greenways that you could utilize. Like try to get that as a commonplace. Because again, I've lived at a lot of places all over. When I lived in Alexandria, Virginia, I didn't have a car and I was able to use greenways to get everywhere I needed to go. And that would be obviously the dream for this area eventually. Okay, so when we show up to these different community events, sometimes having a big prize is good too. So we're looking at partnering with these local running stores and local bicycle stores to try to, one, you know, to raffle off like shoes or a gift card for a bicycle. We looked at trying to raffle off an entire bike, but those things were like $2,000. Wow. So maybe a gift card towards a bike. And instead of just saying, here's a gift card to Target, we wanted you to have, you know, the shoes from the running store and the biking store because they generally have community-led programs already. They have running clubs, they have biking clubs, they have built-in community engagement where they can help you know, like, oh, here's some trails that we run together. So not only are we looking to get people outside, get people to utilize the parks and the greenways, but build connection within their community. You know, a social cohesion is something that we are kind of losing, and we want to help bring that back. All right, here's the biggest part of it. We're going to get out there and try to promote this. We're looking at doing 2 big events a month. Okay, to try to promote these different, you know, getting people out into parks, using greenways, and just getting outside. So we're going to try to, you know, because we are aware of a lot of different events that go on as health educators, we're going to try to find the 2, we think, most impactful events each month, whether it be some fall festivals where we're giving out these prizes and some maps. Thank you, Patrick, for Mark, for a bunch of maps so we can see the different areas. And then local parks, we might get out there. I know there are some local parks that will have like Sunday afternoon events, some yoga in the park, but we can also promote parks for other usage there. There's some high school tailgates that start up that are like whole city involved up in Platte City that we're looking at doing that. farmers markets. That's really a great target because people are already wanting to go outside to do their grocery shopping. You know, they're looking for different ways to be outside and enjoy the weather. So we're going to give them some more options. Community centers as well. Again, there's a lot of times there's a bunch of fall festivals. There's that trunk or treat that goes on in the Platte County Community Center. So we can use where people are already gathered to let them know of more resources. And then we at Platte County Health Department have the back to school fair. And this is for lower income families to come get the needed vaccines, the needed physicals, they get dental exams, they get all their supplies for back to school. And that we can promote parks and getting outside there because, again, that is a free resource for the people in the county that we would love for them to utilize to be happier and healthier. We were just on the sports sector a couple days ago, and they're looking at trying to get more children to have access to sports. Well, where can you practice? You know, where can you do your running training? Where can you work out in the local parks? So that is what I have for you guys, but that's kind of the campaign we're looking at. And it all came back from where we just didn't know about the different availability. And we think that people should get outside a little bit more. This is all evidence-based. There are so many research studies showing that connection to nature and getting outside and movement leads to happier, healthier individuals. So we want to help promote that. So what are your thoughts?
Maybe could you share some details about, I know that one of the questions they always ask at the core work group is like, how is it sustainable? Like after this initial income coming in, like, will this campaign go on or will you find outside funding?
Actually, I'm glad you asked. I forgot to mention that. Yes, this will go on because Platte County generally goes to a lot of different festivals and things like that. So the Move Platte County, slogan will continue on. And then also once we've gotten all of the supplies, we can continue to give them out and we kind of have more information. We can continue, like Platte County Health Department will continue to print out maps. We can continue to print out different things to give out to promote this long term. Eventually, we also want to look at some signage that can be maybe more permanent in some of the parks or on the greenways so that it stays going. And then we would like to make it a permanent part of our back to school fair where we talk about different park opportunities and different greenways so that our underserved community members get to have access to things to be happier and healthier. So yeah, we do have a long-term plan. Trisha, what else should we add to that?
Yeah, well, and with that, the path that's right along I-29, it's literally like you're going to be able to get on that right across the street from us. So that's even something we've talked about is adding some signage in our parking lot. Maybe potentially we could add our parking lot as a parking spot where people could, park their cars and get on their bike and get on the trail. Because it's literally like we went over there last week and it's right by the hotel, which is right across from us. So there's some additional signage we could do to promote getting on the trail right there as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's definitely, we would be able to sustain this project through all the community events that we're involved in. And then just from like some additional, just like, for example, we just are getting ready to acquire a bunch of sunscreen from a different grant. So I think there'll definitely be some opportunities to still definitely promote this, but also have some of those incentive giveaways to get people talking to you and get them involved in the program.
So how are you guys envisioning, like, what kind of support would you be looking for from the infrastructure sector?
So we would love to partner with Mark as much as possible, particularly since, it is a lot of their work that has built a lot of these greenways and parks. To try to see like what other campaigns do they have or do they have planned, to make sure that we can kind of work with them and mirror them. And then also you guys getting out there and helping us promote, what do you know? What kind of infrastructure changes and new parks and new greenways that are coming that you know of and what has worked to try to get people to utilize it. Because again, if people can start getting in the back of their mind of like, oh, I could use this alternate transportation, like this is available to me, then, that's going to get less cars on the road, less pollution, healthier communities. And we'd also like to, anytime there's the walk with the docks, I think we might be looking at trying to start that in the Northland that's another place that can promote this. So like, hey, you know, after this walk of the dock, if you feel great, there's other places you can go to continue doing this. That way you can see different things. So we really partner with anybody in the parks, the infrastructure area, to try to get the word out and, you know, get feedback and see like how we can better promote things as well.
Rebecca, we could connect and, you know, talk more about it if you want to.
See, Kevin, there's a reason why you're here. Oh, was that Patrick or Kevin?
Yeah, that was
okay.
me. That was me.
It was you. Yes. Actually,
There's a reason why I'm here too.
Thank you for all the maps and everything. Those are a good start so that we can start to hand those out and get people. I think a lot of it is like, oh, why don't we pull over the side here and I show you, you know, what parks are near you? What, just kind of sitting down with people as well and being like, oh, this is actually right here. And I'm finding out about parks that I didn't know about in my own county. So yes, Patrick, that would be super helpful if we could kind of sit down and figure out, you know, best ways to promote and partner. We're not saying this is a Platte County only, you know, effort. Getting people outside is an all hands on deck endeavor. So yes, that would be great.
Patrick, do you know what the latest is on the MARC wayfinding plan of like a region-wide, like streamlined signage system? It seems like several different things are popping up maybe. Like, do you know anything about that?
A little bit. I mean, that we completed that plan in 2019 and hasn't seen a whole lot of implementation to date, but I feel like especially in this round of Planning Sustainable Places plans, it seems like there's a little bit more interest in utilizing that. Just because there's been more trails projects and you know, wayfinding projects like Emily Summit and in Overland Park, and so it might see a little more implementation. But the other big project we have going on now is the regional bikeway plan update, and I think we're going to be looking towards kind of integrating some of these trails into a more regional bikeway system. I mean, we always had a plan for that, but the regional bikeway plan was always concerned with like on-street bike facilities, and I think we're going to be shifting that focus a little bit to integrate both kinds, like, you know, both off-street and on-street facilities. And yeah, I definitely knew that trail up at the KCI corridor trail was coming. Good to know that they're in the middle of construction, and once I can get my hands on some aerials, I can put it to the regional trails and bikeways map.
That would be great. Yeah, because it does seem like there's a good bit of knowledge around down it towards, you know, deeper into Kansas City, down south. You know, there's a lot more known, I feel like, trails and bikeways, but I feel like as we head up into Northland, it's just not quite as common, not quite as known, and not quite as utilized. So
well, yeah, hopefully that can change pretty soon here, because like you're very slowly but steadily getting a connected network. I mean, the KCI corridor trail is going to hook into the 152 trail, which I think, you know, also hooks into the Line Creek trail. So yeah, I mean, there's, if I'm taking a look at the regional trails and bikeways map right now, like there's a lot of separated paths that are like slowly connecting together.
yeah. And that's why, like, now as the connection's coming, people, you know, say, oh, I can actually get somewhere that I want to go. You know what I mean? Like, it's fun to do it for recreation and go up and down a little trail, but if you're like, I can get from Platte City to Parkville, or I can get, you know, down to go, you know, I used to bicycle to yoga class, you know, when I lived in other parts of the country, I was able to bicycle to the grocery store, and I bicycled to work, you know, but people knowing, oh, this one now connects to that one. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It's not just where we take the family walk. It's where we bicycle to go get ice cream, you know, or what have you. So that's kind of what we want to do, is like talk about the connectors and help people see you have these options. So,
and I think that's what we're looking at with a regional bikeway plan too. It's like these trails that have been, you know, previously considered like recreational only trails. Like, I mean, for a lot of people that might remain the case, but like there might be cases where these could also double as transportation, you know, useful transportation. I always think that if I lived, you know, along the Tomahawk and Indian Creek trails and Overland Park, like maybe I could get somewhere using these, in certain cases. And I think that's true for the Lion Creek trail too. So yeah, I definitely have an eye towards that in the regional bikeway plan.
I add another thought. I don't want to like derail this, but I don't know if you're familiar with our Move Together KC campaign. It seems to kind of have similar alignment to your one specific to Platte County. I'm wondering, like, I mean, we paid a marketing company a lot of money to come up with talking points, press releases, images. There's also the option to co-brand with your own logos already. So like some of those materials would be available to you if you wanted to use them. And through our social media platforms, would be happy to share those too.
Yeah, no, I did discuss that with our marketing person because I had gotten on and found that information, and it's already established, and that would be something as well that we could, be a part of and promote that, move on. Is it Move On, Casey? Is that what it is? Or Move Together?
Move Together, Casey.
Move Together, yeah. So yeah, that's definitely something that we could definitely get on board with and promote.
Oh yeah, we're not looking to reinvent any wheels. If there's something out there that's effective and like an easy message, like we would love to be a part of that as well. And then just help to focus it and get it up, talk about how the Northland is connected down into the rest of Kansas City, and kind of shift the focus a little bit up on the Northland so that we can get more resources, people talking more about utilizing these, and then also push, Move Together with KC. That'd be great. We'll look at that.
Yeah, that campaign was brought about by KCPA plan members as something that they wanted. So it is made for you guys to use.
Great.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you. Is there anything else or? No, not really at this time. Like we said, this is a Platte County project, but we partner with all different organizations and coalitions all in Clay County. So it's, even though we're presenting as a Platte County project, it's something that, obviously we want citywide to promote movement and help being healthy and just getting everyone active and involved. Awesome. Okay. Well, Natalie, is there anything else on the agenda that is important to discuss, or should we wrap things up?
Just to wrap this up, if do you have a specific funding ask, like a number from the infrastructure sector before we move on?
Trisha,
I saw that you had several sectors, so I didn't know how much you were asking from each sector.
Okay.
And
yeah,
go ahead, Rebecca.
No, I was asking, like, we weren't quite sure on that one, or at least I wasn't entirely sure. Did we ask from one sector? Did we break it up? Like, is that an option? So I think we had like a total of what it would be to do all these campaigns and get out these prizes and go to all these events and use all this staff time. But Trisha, should we talk about like how it should be broken up, or what do you think?
Well, right. And that's exactly what Rebecca said. We weren't sure, honestly, if this would be broken up by sectors, that certain sectors would give each a little bit of funding, or if it would all come from one of the sectors. The total that we had asked for was $9,200 was what the total that we had asked for.
Okay. Katie and I maybe need to meet to see how much is available. Each sector, they started with a certain amount.
Right.
I have those numbers pulled up if you want, Natalie. So the infrastructure sector has 8,678, and I also noticed that public health was one of the sectors listed, and they have 2,700. Parks right now, Parks and Recreation has 4,887. So
Yeah, I don't know the best way to do this, like if sending out a poll to see what people are comfortable or would recommend would be from each sector, or like what the infrastructure sector is comfortable with potentially supporting, because I know we maybe will have some future projects in the
Oh.
works.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
And, obviously, we asked big, and so if whatever we need to pare down, we are still committed to this project regardless. I mean, it's something that, we just want our community to be more active, and, help prevention as, what we focus on. So getting people out and movements super important. So this will be something that we move forward with, regardless, but obviously we'd love to have some support as well from you guys.
Yeah, I will say, just like a tip on these applications, they really don't get funded unless they're multi-level. And I see that this is clearly an individual interpersonal behavior, but if you did things that were more like changes to the built environment, or highlighting that, like when you were talking about some of the maybe permanent signage, or I think that might sway people to saying it's more multi-level project than just handing out things and doing the media campaign.
Okay.
Okay. So would you want us to kind of present more signage, like examples of the signage we would do?
I think discussing it that it's a priority of yours long term would be sufficient.
Mhm.
Do you plan to partner with anybody to implement those signs? Like I know that with some of our green spaces, it's owned by Parks and Rec, and we've worked with them to implement signage.
Maybe putting in more bike infrastructure, like at the
Okay.
health department to make it more of a destination for bikers, or
Okay. All right, we can think about this. I'll probably follow up with you guys and ask some more questions. Because again, we would like this to be successful. We want to get people moving. Personally, I this is what we want to pair with our chronic disease prevention programs. So we would love for this to kind of fit into that for a long term. But we probably need to figure out like how we can best partner with other groups to show that it's more population based, not just individual. What else, Trisha?
I just have a quick clarification question. So the funding request is for, like, you guys are proposing to actually like implement signage, like you're going to put up like wayfinding signage that helps people understand like there's okay, and then you also are looking for some funding for like giveaways that you would use at those different or events that you highlighted.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it'd be
Do
nice
you
if you
have
got on the Greenway to see like, oh, this section is trail connects to X.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, I can keep going.
Do you have that broken out in your budget of what is for signage and what is for swag?
We do have that broken out, yes.
So that's what, like, it's not my decision, but I feel like from an infrastructure perspective, it wouldn't make sense for any of the funding from the infrastructure budget to go towards swag, but it would make sense for us to support wayfinding signage that feels more directly correlated to infrastructure and actually supporting people getting out and using what exists. I know Katie mentioned also talking to Parks and Recreation departments, but maybe just a really specific recommendation. The city of Riverside did fantastic wayfinding signage on their trails. So meeting with, I can give you guys I'll look it up really quick and send it through the chat. The director of the planning department there, Mike, he sort of spearheaded that whole thing, and I highly recommend chatting with him, and just he'd be able to tell you how much the sign costs, what they were able to include. And I'm pretty sure all those signs adhered to the MARC wayfinding standards, so they're going to be coordinated as the region slowly but hopefully surely builds out a region-wide wayfinding system. I don't think it's a huge deal if from city to city we see some variation in the way the signs look, but it gives you kind of a cohesive feel when they all have some like things in common.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah,
Trisha,
I'll pull that up really quick while we wrap up here.
Yeah, Trisha, I know. Do you have to hop off?
I do need to. I'm sorry. I've got another appointment I have to get to. But thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
But I'll stay on and we can hash off some more things. That way I make sure I have a running list, ways to improve, ways so we can better serve the community to make sure that we're on the right track. Okay. So looks like we need to better, okay. First, for our budget, we need to show like what we want from each different sector, you know, and what items that would be to purchase it. Yes. Okay. And then additionally, we want to try to partner with PART to show that like we're looking for some permanent signage for like long-term utilization of this as well. And also talk a little bit more about how the County Health Department is going to sustain this project. Okay. And then what else?
That would cover it on my end. I sent you Mike's info in the chat if you want to follow up with him.
Yeah.
Probably the only, did you say you guys are asking for 9,200?
Yeah, from all the different sectors.
Yeah. No, I was just clarifying. I feel like in the past when I've worked on signage stuff, the signs are so much more expensive than you would expect. So maybe just understanding in the application, like how many signs or the level of detail on the signs that is possible within the requested budget amount. If anything, that would just be interesting to know in case other groups or communities want to replicate like what you guys are doing, or other health departments maybe.
Okay. Let me see here. And then, okay. Full disclosure, we didn't know that we were presenting today, so we didn't have as much as we thought prepared. We found out on this call. So we will work on these things and we will touch base with who all wants to be on the email where we touch base. Should I do all three different heads of the different sectors? How would you like me to follow up?
Why don't you do it to me and Katie, and then we can follow up with each of the sectors.
That sounds great. And I can even maybe just have a small meeting with YouTube at some point to make sure we're hitting the mark. I don't want to waste people's time, you know, and I want to make sure we have a good sustained project here that is going to long-term, you know, make sure that the people in the area are able to move more freely and easily. Because again, having lived in Alexandria, Virginia, which is like the model of being able to have public transportation and foot transportation and bike transportation, as much as I can make that possible in this region, I want to do. So we will work together. I will follow up with the two of you and make sure that we are on track to do something impactful.
Yeah, I'll follow up with Bailey, our other co-lead, to see if she's got any feedback too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to take this information and see how we can improve the plan. Okay.
Great. Thank you very much, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
We're almost at time. Teresa, do you mind if I share one HLC update? Next week, June 11th on Wednesday, we have our quarterly meeting. It's a pediatric doctor at Children's Mercy, and he's going to be talking about physical literacy and athlete development. And breakfast will be served. It's 9 to 11 in person, or we could send you the Zoom link. And I just put the registration form in the chat.
Platte County Health Department will be there, and I'm bringing an intern who's really interested and has worked in a cardiologist office for a long time and is curious about movement as well.
Great. We have another event in August, but it'll be more youth sports related. If any of you know any coaches or youth sport organizations that would like to be invited to that, there'll be some like coach training and workshops as part of it, then some panels, some learning opportunities. So send those contacts my way too, and I can get them on the invite list.
Okay. Abby Hunt works a lot with sports, and so she's probably our best person for that.
I have some contacts that I can send you later on today. I will just make a note of that.
Okay, I think that's all I have. Teresa, I guess next meeting, be on the lookout for an email after we meet to talk about when we think. Generally, I feel like we were meeting every other month. I don't know. We might need to meet about that schedule again if we're going to be reviewing this application to push forward. But yeah, just be on an email lookout for our next meeting.
Well, thanks everybody. Hope you all have a great rest of your weeks.